train. You got guys that are isolated, no gi only competitors, and guys that are holding it down for the OGs in the gi. Do you adjust any kind of training inputs when you consider the two different modalities of jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, so if we were taking the same person, so all their qualities the same, because there's some individual assessment would need to be done there, but generally, no-gi jiu-jitsu is going to put a little bit more demand on explosive strength than gi jiu-jitsu will, where gi jiu-jitsu might have a little bit more demand on isometric strength, as you mentioned, and maybe a little bit more on maximal strength because it's just slower typically. Less scrambles, less that kind of stuff. The grip training is different, in the difference of grabbing and controlling a wrist versus hooking your fingers into the gi. So this is more like a crushing or supportive grip, and this is going to be a lot more just like specific finger endurance. Even though guys who are really high level competitors, they train so much jiu-jitsu, I don't think they really need to do much extra grip training. If anything, they need to do like the reverse grip training and to train their
stuff.
finger extensors. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I know, like for me, train that much or that hard, but lifting and jiu-jitsu together, like the inside of my elbows will really start to hurt a lot from a lot of gripping in the gi, or if I haven't trained much in a while and get back into it.
Have you found anything that actually the extensor exercise, there's these stupid things on Amazon that are like pieces of shit, and whenever I try to use them, they're so bad. Have you found anything that's actually effective, maybe besides like rice in a bucket, but that actually works at reversing that kind of constant forearm engagement and flexion?
The rice bucket was going to be the one that I mentioned. It's difficult because this can't be loaded near the same way that the regular gripping and the pulling that comes along with that can.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of becomes the same way that a lot of corrective or whatever phrase you want to use exercises for anything that's highly specific. So to not go on too much of a tangent, but Melissa, my wife, and I both worked with the same physical therapist, a lady named Abe Maynard, and she's based in Australia, so we worked with her over Zoom. And her two main populations she worked with were powerlifters. She was Australia's 52 kilo IPF lifter, same class as Marissa. And so we're powerlifters and divers, Australian national diving team.
Like synchronized, like high.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Platform.
Go ahead. Yes. Sorry.
Stuff,
semantics. Yeah. Platform.
And both very specialized sports, and kind of in the reverse way. She's like, powerlifters are great at extension, at hip external rotation, at resisting rotation. She's like, divers are great at flexion, internal rotation, and trunk rotation. They're spinning through the air. So I end up, when the powerlifters are hurt, I give them exercises that would be useful for the divers training. And when the divers are hurt, they get things that are useful for powerlifters because they got to train some of the opposite, to maintain that. So as long as you're training, I think, some of the opposite stuff with the grip, whether that's like a reverse wrist curl, so pulling back rather than always folding in, some extension, like, is it ever going to be as strong as the other way? Is my Jefferson curl for powerlifting, where I'm trying to go segment by segment in my spine and control the flexion, ever going to be as strong as my deadlift? No, because one, it just doesn't really lend itself to that.
That would be great, an 800-pound Jefferson curl.
Yeah, but two, it's like, well, I have, of all my training, it was 100% of it was for extension and 0% for flexion. And now 1 or 2% of it is for flexion and 98% is for extension. Well, that 2% is never going to catch up. Same thing with the hand stuff. But just introducing some of it is, so much better than having none of it in.
I thought her solution might be to get the powerlifters to get on a springboard and have the divers get in the weightlifting room, and that just looked like it was going to spell disaster.
Yeah.